You here on AYV Television, Channel 3, and also via Facebook app AYV News. Weekend Review takes a look at our major stories during the week and sometimes brings together practicing journalists and sometimes civil society activists to critically analyze the stories. Well, to help me discuss and analyze some of our stories for the week, I have with me in the studios William Saulami from the civil society platform and also wearing another hat of the local police partnership board. Good morning, welcome to the show.
Good morning and thanks for having me.
Okay, we're also expecting Minkalu Masari to join us in the studios. Well, viewers, we'll go for our very first story. My name is Ronald Jumovia and I'm your host. Some victims of Kush have called on government to intervene in the fight against Kush and go after those importing and selling it. They say even though they are taking it, they know it's killing them and that's they can't stop when the source are still around. They made this call during a Say No to Kush campaign, which youths at Lumley embarked on. Samuel Tonisoya has more on the story.
That was youth and drivers within Lumley community chanting no to Kush. According to some of them, the drug is killing and destroying their relatives. They say it is high time the community takes it upon itself to fight the drug. Therefore, they go after these boys, shave their heads, wash them, and monitor them. They say the menace is a national concern and that government should heighten its attack.
So like I say, the man them will be saying all support for me to say them they as well as they catch up by this issue. All man they say they deteriorate, then they go as next. So government the one day when they export this push and they come down and destroy them. You understand? Now they for cut off. Because if you push on the guy at this country, I know they should say people in them will sell them.
That's why I know okay. From there, okay, they're going to say that go us. And who wants to say, it's a long I'll pack it, go and take us safe. One stop, say anybody who smoke push out the street, the fake up, a lot of push them out. No time from there, we move up, direct to the other way they say we push out. We go direct to the after the not there. Anybody who knows the shell push, they inquire, they go to police. When I know they left, we call the police for another.
Some of the Kush victims share their ordeals while also calling on government to fight the root.
And then they put some chicken rice in the appetite. And they smell bad. But I might not smell this year. I'm not smelling a life for the food. I was in Japan, we are right down one of the youths, the big one. You could not be one of the push up your own soul. You don't go for it.
I don't fly.
I want to make one back home for the now for left farm because one of Mrs. Citizens said the only one going for left this year. And when the thing will get shot in the country. So now what's that? The president will make you good at it. Now the one all the seller, now the government will
And one of the counter.
we will take from here, one all the counter, one all the seller. Let them go outside, any get so suffer. Any get so suffer, let them go. Any get so suffer, let them
You not been driver or you done anything?
It is clear that Kush is a national concern and the urgency of ending it is intense. Samuel Tonisoya, AYV News, Freetown.
Well, in a similar story, the Salem police has arrested 38-year-old Juliet Kamara, who is the wife of the alleged wealthy and notorious drug lord Abdul Kamara alias Bigitel of Mamba Ridge in the Moiba community in the east end of Freetown. The arrest was done yesterday during a raid conducted by the police at the east end of Freetown. Our reporter Mariana Maria Bangura has the details.
The raid conducted by the Aba Police Division saw the arrest of 38-year-old Juliet Kamara, who is the wife of the alleged notorious wealthy drug lord Abdul Kamara alias Bigitel of Mamba Ridge in Moiba community, the east end of Freetown. The move, according to the Sierra Leone police, was undertaken in a widely acclaimed crackdown on drug dealers countrywide. As the raid and search progressed, quantities of illicit drugs were seized from Juliet resident by the police. Operating a popular nightclub with 3 swimming pools, a resident, guest houses, and ghettos in a large and well-fortified estate, Juliet Kamara and 2 of her alleged sales agents, Maria Tukoma and Fatima Bangura, who were camouflaged in Islamic abaya outfit, were taken away from their homes after intelligence was gathered about their involvement in an alleged organized criminal drug syndicate. Abdul Kamara alias Bigitel is said to be on remand at the Pademba Road Correctional Center for a series of alleged drug-related offenses. According to the Sierra Leone police, there is no sacred cow in the fight against drug abuse, particularly Kush, noting that no stone will be left unturned in the fight to end illicit drug trade in the country. Mariana Maria Bangura, AYV News, Freetown.
On illegal drug, the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone has sounded the alarm over the devastating impact of substance abuse, particularly the use of Kush, on the country's youth population. With mounting fatalities and undignified treatment of victims, the Commission has issued urgent recommendations to address these crises. Victor Idris Lansana, the Vice Chairperson of the Human Rights Commission, speaks more in this interview with AYV. Elizabeth Moore has more on the story.
The Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone's latest press release sheds light on the dire consequences of Kush consumption, particularly among young people who should be driving the nation's development. Disturbingly, the Human Rights Commission highlights the indignities faced by Kush victims, including undignified burials, shaving of their heads, and even instances of physical abuse and stigmatization within their communities. The Commission emphasizes that both male and female youth are falling prey to this perilous drug, underscoring the urgency of the situation.
Coming from that perspective of protecting and promoting human rights of all, and in this case, it has to do really with the right to life and the right to health. But even in addition to that, many of these young people should be actually either in school, in college, or in the universities. But they are roaming along the street of Freetown in these communities, wasting their potentials away, wasting their lives away, wasting their future away.
In response to this crisis, the Human Rights Commission has put forth a series of recommendations aimed at mitigating the devastating impact of Kush abuse.
So we have called upon the government through this press statement to say that the president must immediately declare a public health emergency. We cannot wait for our young people to die in thousands before we want to do something. So that is the first thing we have done. And this is backed by Section 29 of the Constitution. It's very clear that the government or the president, in his opinion, if he thinks that a state of emergency or a state exists where, if not addressed immediately, there will be some calamity. Mark you, the Commission has power. We have the statutory obligation to advise government on human rights issues. And we have seen what Kush is doing. It is affecting the right to life. It is affecting the right to health. It is affecting the right to education. So that is why we are advising government through this press statement for the president to take a proactive measure. We have called upon the security sector, the immigration department, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the National Revenue Authority, NRA, all of them, we have told them, we have called upon them to ensure that they deepen security in our border areas, because we all know in this country that our borders are really porous. And so we have to take drastic steps to ensuring that we stop those or prevent people from bringing in the Kush, that is really ravaging the lives of our young people. So that is another recommendation that we have made. And we have also called upon government through the Ministry of Social Welfare and also NACSA to be able to identify those areas to call hotspot areas, and also to ensure that they build rehabilitation centers. You know, when you have rehabilitation centers in this kind of situation, you give an opportunity for the young people to be able to, you know, to recalibrate. You take them to those centers, and then they are able to give them the kind of psychosocial treatments. They are able to give them the relevant treatment that will actually ensure that they are able to come back to life and come back to these communities where they belong. They are able to be integrated into these communities.
As Sierra Leone grapples with the scourge of Kush abuse, the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone's recommendations serve as a clarion call for concerted action to protect the nation's youth and safeguard their future. We will continue to delve deeper into this critical issue and explore the implications for our society. Elizabeth Momo, AYV News, Freetown.
Well, many thanks to my colleagues, Elizabeth Momo, Samuel Tunisoya, and also Mayor Maria Bangwa for putting together those stories on Kush. Well, to help me discuss on this, I have with me in the studio William Saolamin. Good morning again and welcome.
Good morning and thanks for having me.
You've watched the stories and heard from the different concerns. First, let's start with the one that has to do with the victims, calling on government to ensure that they're able to track down or apprehend those that are bringing this drug into the country, those that are in trade of the drug. This Kush issue is gradually becoming a pandemic, a serious issue that needs serious attention. So how best are we doing to ensure that, or how best is government doing to ensure that it protects these young people who are the victims?
Well, in the first place, I think government has to take this Kush issue very seriously. And it has to start from His Excellency the President himself. Has to make a public health emergency statement, because I believe so many Sierra Leoneans, including the Human Rights Commission, is calling on the President to make a statement that has to do with Kush, because we are seeing a lot of young guys around across the country, not just Freetown or capital cities. You get down to village level, to chiefdom level, you see people actually that are involved into Kush. But for us to fight this Kush together effectively, because it has to be, everybody has to come on board. But the government has to take the lead. In a sense, the President has to make a statement that has to do with public health emergency. It also has to do with arrest and prosecuting those who are actually bringing Kush in this country and those who are actually doing business with Kush. You know, but the way we are seeing, people dealing with people who are affected by the Kush, young people, is to be specific, I think it has to be another way. We need to encourage them. We need to rehabilitate them and take them back to their communities instead of, providing more trauma for them. You know, so we are asking that government take the lead to make a statement, to make a pronouncement, have a center, a rehabilitation center. And I think I want to say kudos this time to the SLP. They have done a lot of job for the past days, moving around, destroying, shops or what we refer to as pan body, destroying them for people to actually stop doing business with Kush within the community. And it should not just stop there. They need to make arrests and prosecute them. And in that prosecution also, the judiciary has to play a role, because we understand that there are packed cases, jam-packed cases that has to do with Kush in the court. And the court is not doing much with regards, to looking into those matters. And we are calling on the judiciary to fast-track issues that has to do with Kush, because it's actually damaging our society. You cannot talk about agriculture if you don't talk about young people. They are going to be at the forefront. They are going to drive the power tillers, the harvester, and all of that. They are going to be fully involved into the agriculture and so many other things. You talk about education. We have the free quality education. Who are the direct beneficiaries? They are going to be young people. These are young people. And I will tell you now that young people, even at university level, are participating in this Kush. So it's very serious. We are damaging the future, and all hands has to be on deck to ensure that we kick Kush out of Sierra Leone.
Do you believe that we've reached a position in which we should declare this as a public health emergency?
When you look at the figure that was announced by the Ministry of Health and what we see on social media, burial team on daily, almost on daily basis, you see 30 people be buried, 20 people be. Those are the ones we are seeing in cities, in bigger towns. But there are so many people who are dying at the outskirts. I'm coming from number 2 River. Every week or two, you see one young person fall down. And sometimes you go and bury those people. The Ministry of Health will not be able to capture some of these figures. So the number is increasing on a daily basis. So therefore we have to do something now, not tomorrow at all.
All right. Well, viewers, we've just been joined in the studio by Minkelu Mansay. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Keep forgetting Minkelu Koma instead of Minkelu Mansay.
Sorry, Minkelu Koma. Sorry for that mistake.
Good morning to my brother Sal. It's been a while.
Really?
you met us discussing. You met us discussing the issue of Kush. We just take a look at some of the stories we aired this week that has to do with victims calling on government to ensure that those that are in the trade of this illicit drug are apprehended. And also, we've seen also police have started raiding big drug lords in the country. Recent one was the one that has to do with Big Tel. And the Human Rights Commission calling for government to put all seriousness in this. But in all of this, let's look at the human rights aspect of this. How are victims being treated? We've seen videos of victims that are being shaved, loaded in trucks, taken to places to wash them. And so in all of this, what's the human rights aspect? Are we considering the human rights aspect of this? Are victims being victimized instead of them being cared for?
Yes, we have followed the issue around Kush for a long time now. We have had discussions regarding the steps government should take. How can we be able to collectively help in the fight against Kush? But human rights is fundamental, yeah? Mm-hmm. So every right there is responsibility. Mm-hmm. I agree. In human treatment is being meted upon certain individuals who are believed to be Kush victims. I have seen that. It is clearly demonstrated. But the truth of the matter is we have to do something as a country. The people that are actually involved in getting them together, shaving them, sometimes flogging them, maybe do not have the expertise as to how to treat somebody that is traumatized. And as such, I think the required institutions must step up immediately to see how they can come in, to intervene and provide the required expertise as to how to treat such individuals. That is what I think should be done. I have seen a couple of them, being maltreated even in their homes, the places they hang out, where they do go for survival and sustenance, they are being maltreated. We agree that the intake of any harmful substance is bad. Drug must not be entertained at any level, any shape or form, I agree. But again, some people are involved in this business of taking Kush because they lack the awareness. Some it is due to peer group influence. Some it is due to some other challenges that has actually led them into becoming victims of Kush. My brother alluded to the fact that, even at the university, we now have people who are expected to be level-headed who are also involved. Just yesterday, I was watching a clip on social media. One energetic fellow in Lonsa, in fact, an artist, has now been relegated to a level that he cannot even do anything for himself. And that is very bad. So collectively, we have to involve in this fight. We have to advocate. Government must do the necessary things. I have heard you also ask a question about as to whether this has met the threshold of declaring a state of public health emergency. It has got its own definition altogether, because public health emergency must be a threat to not only a group of people who can be affected by the intake of something. The disease must be somehow contagious. An epidemic must be contagious. Ebola, for example, it's a virus. Yeah? Or let's say a bacteria. You come to COVID-19, these are contagious diseases. But Kush is not contagious. If you are my brother, for example, sorry to say, but you take Kush, if I do not take it, even if we reside in the same room and do everything in common, I will not be affected. So government has to look at it again from that angle. Because to declare a state of public health emergency it has got its own implications. And the disease must be contagious. But for now, I believe government can still contain it. Government needs to empower the required institutions. You know, civil society must go out to do proper advocacy. There has to be community engagement, constant community engagement. If that happens, I believe we can be able to curb it. Some people have accepted to, you know, quit Kush because of their constant engagement, maybe from family members or friends. But that is not enough. Government has to empower the required institutions. There has to be constant engagement, robust advocacy across the country to be able to curb it. That is what I think.
All right. Now, I'll come again to you, Saul. I mean, what is it with this Kush that it's been so addictive to these young people?
Well, the mindset of the young people and looking at the current situation, though that is not an excuse. I was in Form 1 when I lost my mother. And today I will say thanks to the Almighty God. You know, some people will say, because I lost my parent during the war and there is no hope for me, there is no job, so I can get into Kush. That's not an excuse. But the bottom line is, most of these young guys that are involved into Kush are just guys moving around, doing nothing, you know, and I don't mind. Somebody will come and say, just have a taste of this. And then you get into that, you get addicted into it, you know. This is just the issue. People just get to somewhere and influence. You know, have this peer group influence. They can just get somewhere and somebody say, if they have a show, they have a carnival or some activities within their community, somebody will just say, we'll have just one, taste of it, and then you get into it proper. So we are actually saying it is not good for the society. It's really damaging the society. It has to do with the human resource, and the human resource base is very, very important. Who are going to be our future leaders? If guys who are supposed to be doctors, who are supposed to be police officers in the future, they are not getting into Kush, then that tells you there is a very serious problem for the future. So that is why, as my brother rightly said, this, in fact, there should be no political thing connected to it. I was so moved when I saw, one of the youngest dynamic member of parliament coming from my 91 area is an APC member of parliament, moving from school to school, you know, sensitizing young people for them to refrain from Kush. I was so moved because at this particular point, this issue about Kush, you have APC youth are taking the Kush, SLPP youth, NGC, Mendeti, Minilimba, North, East, South, and West. This Kush is all over the country. Just last week I was coming, I traveled to Daru and Shegwema and Kailan district and part of the southern region. Wherever you go, people are taking this Kush. So it's becoming very, very serious and alarming, you know. So that is why we are saying government must take it serious. I believe if the president, come out with a statement, if not even pronouncing a public health emergency, but by just coming out, making a very strong statement, and then calling on each and every Sierra Leonean to come on board, as we did for COVID-19 and Ebola. You know, everybody was on board. Whether you are health personnel or not, everybody came on board, you know, to see how best we can fight that particular menace at that particular time. We are also talking about empowerment for the institution that is actually responsible for drugs issues, not just Kush, the National Drug Enforcement Agency. The last time I saw the leadership of that agency, you know, at Parliament, saying they only have 12 staff. How can you have 12 staff in 16 districts? Looking at this particular Kush issue at this time, it's spreading like wildfire. You know, having 12 staff, you don't even have a motorbike. How are you going to tackle this? And you're the team, you are going to be the lead. Because for whatever advocacy we are doing, whatever we are doing, there must be a team lead. There must be an institution who is in charge. We know the Ministry of Health is there, but that institution is purposely there to, look at issues that has to do with drugs. And Kush is part of that. If that institution is not empowered, if the police officers do not have that kind of equipment, that kind of manpower, you know, that morale booster for them to do what they are doing all these days, they will not be able to do what they are supposed to do. So we are saying government must take this particular issue very serious and provide the necessary logistics. I don't want to advocate for myself, as my brother has already started doing advocacy for civil society, you know, because we need to talk. We need to engage people. We need to get to communities, talk to people. Some people, when you talk to them, not only on maybe a town hall meeting, one-on-one, you sit with them and explain issues to them, they will understand. You know, in my community, we've been able to engage on certain people who have been selling drugs few months ago. We've stopped. We engage them. This thing is not good. You are a Muslim, you are a Christian, you cannot sell this kind of drugs, damaging young people. Why are you going to the mosques? Where are you going to the church? What are you going to pray for? Now, this particular month, we are in serious religious movement now. The Christians are fasting, the Muslims are fasting, and then the Kush is moving rapidly. So both Muslims, imams, pastors, we have to fight this fight collectively. Spare that 5 minutes during your Muslim prayers, during that of your divine service in church. As a pastor, you talk about this Kush, even if it is 5 minutes, because it's important. If you don't have young people going to church, there's not going to be any youth fellowship in that church. Who's going to play the keyboard? Who is going to play the organist? Where are the choristers? Most of them are young people. So we have to take it serious. And I will tell you that some pastors, children of pastors, children of imam, they are also involved now into this Kush. So it has to be everybody's business, but the government has to take the lead.
Coming again to Minkailu, let's look at the political will. There has been this call for the president to address the nation on this issue. Of what relevance would this be to the fight against Kush? How urgent do we need the voice of the president on this?
Very urgent.
Very, very urgent.
People are even saying...
It has to be now.
Yes. Sierra Leoneans are calling for the declaration of a state of public health emergency. But I hold the contrary view. I believe it has to meet certain threshold, and this is not contagious. But the president is the fountain of honor. He's the first gentleman. So adding his voice, to this will go a long way in ensuring that, like he rightly said, other stakeholders will come aboard the fight. You need religious leaders. Yesterday I was at the masjid observing Juma prayers. Without all the brief for the imam, nobody spoke about Kush. And this is it's a call for national intervention. Nobody did speak about it. I was at the masjid observing Juma prayer. I am expecting that, like he rightly stated, these are gatherings, they are congregations in which the message will sink if they pass the message to the people. Because at the masjid or the church, you have people coming from different households to worship. So when you pass the message to them from a religious leader, a respectable somebody in society, they will also have to cascade that to their households, ensuring they talk to their children, to their wards, to tell them about the danger of Kush. So the president's coming on board to make a public pronouncement as to the level at which we are relegating as a nation if we do not quit Kush. I mean, that will go a long way in ensuring that other players take it very seriously. So I agree with those calling on the president to make a statement regarding this.
All right, let's move on to another story. Well, in a significant breakthrough in the fight against human trafficking in Sierra Leone, the operations team in the